Hi, everybody. This is a video post for my intuitive human design group. We have been looking at the personality nodes in there this month, and I was gonna do kind of a different video, but in light of what's going on, I have been asked to share what I'm seeing with what's going on collectively. So what I'm doing is I'm going to go ahead and go through what I'm seeing in the transits and share that. And then I'll lead into more on the nodes and what's going on the collective level with the nodes. And just know that this is how I see. This is my perspective. I am who I am. I'm not anybody else. We all are very unique and differentiated. And if you don't resonate with my frequency, that's totally cool. I respect that. And I appreciate the respect back that we all do see a little bit differently. So I will go ahead and start this. So first off, we have the sun in gate 36-6. And I am going by my notes. So if I look down a lot, you'll know why I'm flipping in pages. So gate 36 is about chaos. And then the earth being in gate 6, line 6, gate 6 is about friction. Now, in line 6, we're talking about justice and peace. And with the justice, I wanted to expound on that a little bit from a different line book that I have, and it's being restored. It's committed to persist in what is right. I have this position actually in my Mars, so I have Sun conjunct my Mars today, which is great. And yes, things do change. Things don't always stay chaotic, but through friction and chaos, that's how we grow, that's how we change, all that kind of good stuff. So the nodes currently are in 52-58, which are the gates of assessment and stimulation. And we are seeing others' assessments to what's being stimulated within the collective. So I totally see that, and that is what's happening, which is really cool to be able to validate that. Now the nodes will be changing to the 1510, and this is about extremes and humanity and behaviors. And it's not always a bad thing, but of course we are seeing already the extremes going on. This also happens to be the 9/11 nodal return. And I just wanted to share a little bit in that I remember the experience I went through during this nodal position during this time of 2001. It was a very hectic time for me, and I did feel a lot of the extremes in behavior. I did see a lot of that in my environment. Of course, 9/11 was extreme behavior, right there alone. And now I actually have this same nodal configuration in my Chiron return, which I actually started feeling this and seeing it in my own environment as well when it started, or 3.5 years before my Chiron return, which happens in June. So, yes, we can see extremes. It could be as simple as extremes in trends that people are coming out with, to as chaotic as what we saw during 2001, the 9/11. I do feel that, yes, we are going to see maybe some more extreme stuff going on collectively for a minute or so. From what I've learned astrologically for this whole year is that it will settle down towards the end of the year. And I am definitely looking forward to that. That's the vibration I choose to put out there. Okay, moving on. Mercury now is in gate 55-1. Gate 55, I know very personally, and it's called the gate of abundance. It's an abundant spirit. It's about having faith and trust that all is well within you. It's an inner feeling of being okay, no matter what chaos and friction is going on out there. And looking at the line, we're in the line of cooperation. It's also called the line of relating with like-minded people. And I'm seeing that a lot. We are trying to relate more with like-minded people, especially those of us who are, really wanting to, how we see, to stay in that, Venus is in gate 2, line 1. This is the receptive gate. And line 1 is intuition. So I see it as receptive intuition, which brings sensitivity to the current collective disharmony, because we are seeing disharmony within the collective. Now, Mars, Jupiter, and Pluto are all in the gate of inner truth. Not today, but they're going to be there all together. Oh, no, it is today. I'm sorry. My apologies. Not perfect here, although I want perfection always. That's how I see. I can see the potential, the perfected potential and everything. So in line 1 in human design, it is called occult knowledge, or, that secret knowledge. And I wanted to share from my lines book that it's also having perception by quietly allowing your psychic attunement. And I love that word, attunement. And I'm going to share with you a little bit later why, whenever I share with you the I-Ching, what I drew this morning from the I-Ching for today, for what I'm doing here, and for all of us. Now in line 2, we have natural brilliance. And then in line 5, we have what's called appeal in human design. And looking at it from the lines book, I have line 2 as shining light by finding the thread of truth in anything. That's where discernment comes in. Talk about more of that later. Line 5 is being ingenious, and it's uniting everyone by interpreting truth innovatively. So Saturn is in gate 60 of limitation, and a lot of us are feeling pretty limited right now. But the cool thing is it's in line 4, which is resourcefulness. This is the exact placement that I have my Venus in, and I have seen it in my life. I have been able to, within limitation, be very resourceful. So I am very thankful for that, because it is important that when we are feeling or seeing limitation, that we can be resourceful for ourselves or for another. Now, Uranus is in 27-3. The gate 27 is about nourishing, and the line 3 is about greed or being resourceful. And I'm seeing greed as the hoarding going on that a lot of people are talking about. And it's just kind of funny how we can see these things, through these transits. Neptune is in gate 22 in the line 2. Now, 22 is all about grace and graciousness. And then line 2 is about charming. Oh, I'd like to see some more charm going on. That would be great, right? In the Gene Keys, I wanted to share that this is the 7th seal that heals all lines, the gate 22. And it's really fascinating and pretty cool that Neptune is in there and in his home sign of Pisces. So I see where a lot of veils can be lifted at this time, so that we can see a lot of inner truth. With the gate 61 having 3 planets in there, that's a pretty loaded gate. Now Saturn moves into Aquarius. And it's funny because it moves into Aquarius on Saturn's day, which is a Saturday. That's at least Pacific Standard Time, on March 21st. It still is going to be in the 4th line of resources, which is really cool. It's going to square Uranus, which is in Taurus right now at 4 degrees. And Uranus rules Aquarius in modern astrology, which is the only square too of the day. Everything else is trines or actually sextiles. I think there might have been one trine, but it's all blue lines. For those who know what blue lines mean in astrology, it's pretty easy, or can be easier to work with, which is really cool. So just the one square. And Uranus shakes things up, and I see that Uranus shaking up structures of Saturn. And then, This is so in line with what's going on with human design and this whole cross change and going into 2020. It's also in line with the Yuga change, which is shown as 2025. So those two things happening so close together is really cool because we are going through a huge shift, a huge change in the structures. Things are being shaken up. We're seeing that. We have been for a while. Now, 2 days later, on the 23rd, is when the nodal shift, at least Pacific Standard Time, is when the nodal shift goes into the 1510. And I've already spoken about that, so I'm not going to do that here. And then the next day, on the 24th, happens to be a new moon in gate 17. That's so cool. Gate 17 is following or opinions. It's also in line 1, which is openness. It's about being open-minded. There are no major aspects to this new moon, which is kind of cool, and it'll be really interesting to see how it plays out. But I will say that there are 2 minor aspects. There are 30 degrees, which is a semi-sextile in astrology, meaning that it's like you got one behind and one before. So we have like a closing and an opening from Mercury, a closing and opening with Uranus, because those are the 2 planets that is being aspected by this moon by 30 degrees within the orb of, I think, maybe a degree or 2 to Uranus and Mercury. So the way I see it is openness to nourishing our inner abundant spirit. And as we do that, it ripples out into the collective field for others, in hopes that they are able to receive that if they're open to it, and that it might help quiet some things down. So I wanted to share with you the I-Ching that I pulled for today for us all. So we're going through an attunement, coming back to that attunement. The I-Ching I pulled today had the changing line of 3. 3 in the mystical way of human design is about attunement, and it's about being able to attune to the different harmonies like jazz players do. And we are having to attune to so much going on right now in the collective. The 3rd line is also about adaptability. And as we're able to adapt to like the limitations going on, the environment that's going on, tapping into our resources and, maybe helping others to tap into theirs or sharing those resources. That's how I'm seeing it. So we're going through an attunement. Do not worry. There is abundant nourishment for our growth. And I love that, because abundant, the 55, and nourishment, the 27, between Mercury and Uranus, which are sextiling each other, which is really nice. Do not look for it without you. Okay, so there is abundant nourishment for our growth. Do not look for it without. It lies within. We are being nourished deeply at our words. So I want to talk about not looking at it without, but looking at it from within. In human design, one of the most important things is that we follow our inner authority, no matter what. We quit giving it away to everything outside. We're not allowing the mind or other people or institutions or whatever to take away our own inner authority, our own inner knowing, and we need to follow that. And that's within the body, the body's intelligence. It knows exactly what we need. Recently, I've also looked at and seen the inner authority as our power. I mean, really, when you think about it, this is our power. Our inner authority is our power. And when we're tapped into our inner authority, it empowers us, because then we know within ourselves what is correct for us and what is not, what's ours and what isn't. And during this time, we really need to have discernment over judgment, To me, discernment is the higher form of judgment. And I know it's really hard right now to be discerning with all the different things being said and yada, yada, yada out there. But that's why we have our inner authority, so that we can discern what is correct to us, what we resonate with, and what we don't, including what I'm talking about here today. You know, if you're listening and it doesn't resonate, it's not for you. And that's okay. I mean, that's totally fine. What a trip. Anyways, I think that's about it. I'm going to leave it at that for right now. Please feel free to ask any questions, whether in the comments on YouTube or in my group. And really quick, one thing I wanted to share with you guys. I am going to add to the post what it is that I want you guys to look at this week, that me and Brandy have looked at and seen that it's a really neat way and different way to look at our nodal environment. So don't forget to read what I write in the post. And if anybody's curious on YouTube, feel free to ask, and I will share that with you as well, because I don't know how many people from Human Design might be watching this or not. So, all right, breathe. Know that you were loved. Know that you were taken care of. Know that this too shall pass. I love you all. And enjoy this time, this quiet time of being isolated. If you are, being able to spend more time with your family or with yourself internally. It is what is in us that we need to turn to. It is not out there. All right, y'all. Bless y'all. See you later.